Om Maya, Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, 10th Canto, chapter number 59. This is a verse which we'd like to recite. 41st verse of this chapter.
Yacha Chanmaya Kirita Kotibi Pados Vishama Chitamata Sadhanam Sedatetna Vigratimahan Aho Shuranam Chatamodik Adyatam. Translation: Even after Indra had bowed down to Lord Achyutya, touched his feet with the tips of his crown, and begged the Lord to fulfill his desire, the exalted demigod, having achieved his purpose, chose to fight with the Supreme Lord. What ignorance there is among the gods! To hell with their opulence.
This is Sukadeva Goswami expressing his opinion on the demigods, especially Lord Indra. It's amazing, actually, how even though they are very qualified devotees, sometimes they behave in such a crazy way. Anyway, let's see what he does in this episode. Killing of demon Narakasur. This chapter tells how Krishna killed Narakasur, the son of the earth goddess, Bhumi Devi, and married. So he's also known as Bhaumasura. And Krishna married thousands of maidens that Narakasura had kidnapped, and he was holding captive. It also describes how the Lord stole the Parijat tree from heaven and how he behaved like an ordinary householder in each of his palaces. So Indra complains to Lord Krishna. At the end of the 58th chapter, Sukadeva Goswami mentions that Lord Krishna also acquired thousands of other wives when he killed Bhaumasura. That's the same as Narakasura. Freeing the beautiful maidens the demon was holding captive. King Parikshit asked how Bhaumasura was killed by the Supreme Lord. So after Narakasura stole Lord Varundev's Bambela, Mother Aditi's earrings, and the playground of the demigods known as Mani Parvat, Indra went to Dwarka and described the demon's transgressions to Lord Krishna. So he pleaded for help from Lord Krishna. Together with Queen Satyabhama, the Lord mounted his carrier Garud and traveled to the capital of Narakasura's kingdom. The five-headed Mura, the Mura demon, who slept at the bottom of the city's moat, woke and rose up out of the water when he heard the vibrations of Lord Krishna's Panchajanya conch shell. On a field outside the city, and after a tremendous fight, Lord Krishna decapitated the demon Mura with his disc. So this is the five-headed demon Mura. There's Lord Krishna blowing his conch shell. And then this is the decapitation of Mura with his disc. Then he fought Mura's 7 sons, Tamra, Antariksha, Shravan, Vibha, Vasu, Nabha, Swam, and Arun, and sent them all to the abode of death. Narakasura could not contain his fury when he saw the fate of his military leaders, and thus himself entered the battlefield on the back of an elephant. Narakasura threw his Shakti lance at Sri Krishna, but the weapon proved ineffective, and the Lord cut the demon's entire army to pieces. Finally, with his sharp-edged disc, Krishna cut off Narakasura's head. Fallen on the ground, Bhaumasura's head shone brilliantly, decorated as it was with earrings and an attractive helmet. As cries of alas, alas, and well done arose, the sages and principal demigods worshipped Lord Mukunda by showering him with flower garlands. So you could say that this is more likely to be Narakasura rather than the demon Mura. So Prithvi, offers prayers to the Lord. Earth goddess Prithvi then approached Lord Krishna and gave him the various items Narakasura had stolen. Aditi's earrings, which were made of glowing gold inlaid with shining jewels, Vajjavanti flower garland, Varun's umbrella, and the peak of the Mandara mountain. She offered prayers to the Lord. You assume your various forms to fulfill your devotees' desires. So sometimes people ask, why does God have so many different forms? Well, he has because he likes to fulfill the desires of his devotees. So he keeps many, many forms. Whose glance is as cool as the lotus and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. And yesterday we were reading in the song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur how his feet, lotus feet, taste like honey. Karuna was impressed by that. You remain uncovered by the three modes of material nature because he's in charge of them. You are time, the pradhan, the purush. Still, you are separate and distinct. Really nice prayers. So Prithvi then presented Narakasura's frightened son at Lord Krishna's lotus feet, asking the Lord to protect him. Thus, entreated by goddess Bhumi, the Supreme Lord bestowed fearlessness upon her grandson. And then entered Bhaumasura's palace, which was filled with all manners of riches. He found 16,000, must be just 16,000, or 16,100. Yeah.
Because the 8 is the main 8.
He found 16,000. Can you imagine? This Bhaumasura had stolen 16,100 princesses. He had taken them by force from various kings. As soon as they caught sight of the Lord, the women became enchanted with Krishna and decided to accept him as their husband. With the thought, may Providence grant that this man become my husband. Each and every princess absorbed her heart in contemplation of Krishna. The Lord had the princesses arrayed in clean, spotless garments and then sent them in palanquins to Dwarka. Must be in one incredible procession, together with great treasures of chariots, horses, and other valuables. Lord Krishna also dispatched 64 swift white elephants, descendants of Airavat, who each sported 4 tusks. Amazing. So here we go. Say Lord Krishna rescuing the princesses from Bhaumasura's captivity. Then Krishna uproots the Parijata tree. The Lord then went with Queen Satyabhama to the abode of Indra. There he returned Aditi's earrings, and Indra and his wife Sachidevi worshipped him. On Satyabhama's request, Lord Krishna uprooted the heavenly Parijat tree and put it in the back of Garud after defeating Indra and the other demigods who opposed his taking of the tree. Krishna returned with Satyabhama to Dwarka, where he planted it in a garden adjacent to Satyabhama's palace. So this is extraordinary, really. The Lord helps Indra and the other devatas and protects them so many different ways. Yet he simply takes one little tree from heaven and suddenly they are up in arms. You got to wonder, what are they on? This is Maya. Once planted, the Parijata tree beautified the garden of Queen Satyabhama's palace. Not sure what this flower, I mean, this looks like jasmine, but it looked good, so we put it in.
It is Parijat flower, Prabhuji.
Is it? How do you know?
Because I've seen it in India.
Wow.
And very fragrant, highly fragrant flower.
Oh,
Yes, Prabhu, it is. We have it at our place.
Yes.
wow.
It is specifically this orange center, which is by which we recognize it.
Yes.
Well done. Thank you.
Karuna Mataji, is that Rakirani?
No,
No.
no,
No,
this one is
different.
different. The
What is
orange
it?
the stalk is the recognition of the Parijat flower.
So you better protect it, Karuna. Krishna might come and pinch it.
Oh,
You
So
hope
how do
he
they
doesn't.
call it in Mauritius? I want to know if
Parijat itself. I got it from someone who got it from India.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
And is it, where do you have it planted? Is it outside or inside the windowsill or Mataji?
No, it's outside in the garden.
But you don't get cold days there, isn't it? Like UK.
No, Mauritius is
No,
hot.
in Mauritius, it's always nice
Okay,
weather,
yeah.
so it's okay.
So does anybody have it in UK?
I want to get it from India.
Indoor. Get me one, Aniben.
We can give you grains.
Hmm?
We can give you some grains, and then you can try to
Plant
plant
it.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Karuna Bandar. Yeah, send us the
Yeah.
seeds.
Yes, I'll try. I'll try.
Send me
Perfect.
some also.
Okay.
We
And
can do a business.
is it lots of flowers? It gives lots of flowers?
Yes, it's bundles of flowers every morning. At night, the flower will open, all the flowers, and then in the morning they will all fell down. So when it fell on the ground, then we can pick it up and then we can offer to grow.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. No, thank you for sharing that.
Next
Very
time
difficult,
it will
very-
flower, I will just make a video and send.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, very nice.
It might be easier
And we are-
for us just to move to Mauritius than you send
Oh
it.
yes, that's the best idea.
No, thank you. No.
It's a shame we can't smell through Zoom.
Yeah, my dear.
Oh yeah, difficult to have it on video neither.
Okay.
Thank you for
I'm
sharing.
sure, I'm sure somebody I know in London grows them indoors.
Yes, I think if we get it and if it grows, it has to be an indoor plant for us.
Mm.
Yeah, it have to be indoors. Yeah, we'll try.
We'll try, yes, we'll try our best. And if I get from India, I shall give it to you, Mataji.
Oh, you are a friend. Thank you so much.
So then this verse 41, which you read already, Indra had originally came to Krishna offering obeisances, begging him to kill Narakasura. Afterwards, when his business had been accomplished, he quarreled with the Lord. The demigods are prone to anger because they become intoxicated with pride in their opulence. What ignorance there is amongst the gods. To hell with their opulence. So this is straight from Shukadeva Goswami's words. Okay. The infallible Supreme Lord manifested himself in 16,108 separate forms and married each of the 16,100 brides in a different temple. He took up the required activities of household life, just like an ordinary person, accepting various kinds of service from each of his many wives. The Lord constantly remained in each of the queen's palaces, which were unequaled and unexcelled by any other residence. There, although fully satisfied within himself, he enjoyed his pleasing wives. He enjoyed with his pleasing wives, and like an ordinary husband, he carried out his household duties. Thus, those women obtained as their husband, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Although even great demigods like Brahma do not know how to approach him, with ever increasing pleasure, they experience loving attraction for him, exchange smiling glances with him, and reciprocated with him in ever fresh intimacy, replete with joking and feminine shyness. Although the queens each had hundreds of maidservants, they chose to personally serve the Lord by approaching him humbly, offering him seed, worshipping him with excellent paraphernalia, feeding him, etc., bathing him, etc., etc. So this is chapter 59, very interesting chapter. So any questions, any comments before we go to the instructions?
Prabhuji,
Yes, anyway.
while I was reading this chapter 59, there was something at the end about comparing this 16,100 sort of ladies whom Krishna brought them to Dwarka to gopis. And that there's in the younger life, they were gopis, and now they are gopis at Vrindavan.
I'm not sure about that. Oh yeah, now there are gopis at Vrindavan. Yeah, maybe.
Yes, it was in the last part of this chapter.
Right. What I remember in the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, these 18,000, 16,000, sorry, yeah. There were 16,000 sages who said to him that we want to have conjugal pastime with you. And he said, as Lord Ramachandra, no, I've taken a vow of one wife, but when I come as Lord Krishna, you will definitely, I will fulfill your desires. So they're from that era, but then I didn't realize that they have subsequently manifested as gopis. Interesting. Is that in the purport?
Yes, it was maybe in the purport, but towards the end of this chapter.
Right. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Naniman, for sharing.
Thanks.
Very good. We'll have a quick look for it. Thank you. Okay. Anything else, Naniman? Anything else?
No, Prabhuji. And it was, you explained well about Indra's attitude of fighting with Krishna. Yeah, this is like compared to the material nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can't be satisfied. And yet, when somebody helps you, when your purpose is over, then you engage into fight with them. I was surprised that Indra's wife is called Sachi Devi, same as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And we got to be a little careful ourselves, because sometimes, we ask the Lord for, things, help with our material position. And then when we get it, we ignore the Lord, we forget the Lord, we might even fight with him. So this problem is a universal problem. It's not just the demigods, but also we have to be very careful. It's a good example. It's very crude in this example that Indra fought with him because of the Parijat flower plant. But it can be very subtle how we can also be doing similar sort of thing. Okay, Madhusan Babu.
Okay, Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So in terms of this Indra, I'm just looking at that purport. Not just purport, the word, the verse itself. It says, even after Indra had bowed down to Lord Achyuta, touching his feet with the tips of his crown and begged the Lord to fulfill his desire, then exalted demigod, having achieved his purpose, chose to fight with the Supreme Lord, because he was very proud. What ignorance there is among the gods, verse says, Then he says, to hell with their opulence. So in the purpose, it's well known that material wealth and power tend to produce arrogance, and thus an opulent life can often be the royal road to hell. So yeah, opulences one can get very attached to these then, and become proud and become arrogant, even Lord Indra, and even after having the Lord having fulfilled his desire of returning his properties from that Bhaumasura, and talk about James Bond type of situation where a villain actually creates an island with a fortress with all these things around, and missiles and wires and cables and all sorts of things as a defense to protect his so-called loot or so-called master plan or something. But then James Bond penetrates all these, finishes. The last film I saw, James Bond, I think I saw it just new, and I had people talking about it. So I thought, and even the James Bond doesn't survive, he blows himself up on the island. So I don't know what's going to happen next. Some other James Bond will come. But then this is amazing how Bhaumasura had created a fortress, which included things like these, weaponry of all sorts, with and even as a cable, some sort of a cable, which Krishna had to use his sword to cut it off and penetrate it, and then free all those 16,100 princesses which he had. And then we think about, how can these things happen, but this is Asura, he's the son of Bhumi. And Bhaumasura, and Krishna had promised Bhumi that he would not kill any of his Asura children. So they do have their reign at some point. And also Bhaumasura, he obviously sent his children and his other army before he actually had to put himself on the line, which is interesting, how they want to protect themselves. But so this is an extreme ways of how Lord shows his supremacy as well, with the way. So I'll just read through the instructions, and that this chapter reveals the extremes of demigods' opulences that are envied upon and stolen away by demoniac forces like Bhaumasura. So when you have these opulences and all that, then it's going to create envy. It's going to create people intending to want to go and steal it as well, which Bhaumasura does actually. Then he goes in son, and he was son of Bhumi, not Bhimji. How did I get Bhimji? Oh, shit. Correct that. Who then goes to extreme measures to protect his loot. So even, talking about Boko Haram, they're going and taking away all those girls from a school, and that's the tendency of these asuras, to do that sort of thing, which is nothing surprising. We don't get surprised at the way demoniac forces will go to any extent, do the sort of thing they want to do, but they have to pay the price for it as well, which obviously we learn how Krishna, together with Satyabhama, deals with both Indra and Bhaumasura. So Indra's pride had to, then Krishna wanted to take that tree away from Satyabhama, Parijat the tree. So that came to Dwarka then afterwards. We see how Krishna shows transcendental opulences instead by marrying 16,100 kidnapped princesses. So he marries all of them because none of them, once they're kidnapped, the girls feel nobody's really going to own them. Nobody's going to trust them, rely on them. They can only have one shelter then, and that's the Supreme Lord. So they obviously surrender. But this is all pastimes. Krishna's, he lives amazing household lives simultaneously with each one of those princesses as his wives in Dwarka, so as we've seen. So we as devotees see the futility of material opulences at any level. So whether it's a demigod level, the opulence, or on this material earth, the tiny little, so-called little opulence, and they become proud as well. So we see the futility of it and are in amazement at Lord's potencies that give pleasure, and how he shows his mercy as well to some of these. He is very merciful to all those princesses. He relieves them of their distress. He marries them. And again, as devotees, we're amazed, but Krishna's potencies are unlimited in what he does in his pastimes, are unlimited with the kind of weapons he used to fight against Bhaumasura, and to the length he goes to even subdue or deal with Indra's pride. So anyway, it's an interesting chapter, wonderful. Okay, Haribo.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Madhusun Prabhu? Okay, so we can stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, 10th chapter, 10th canto ki jai.